Welcome to 1 Million Leaders, Creating the Program for Tomorrow, hosted by Dominic Scott, Managing Director at Alexander Hall, who is joined by Jean-Marc Lauchez, President at Korn Ferry Institute. Dom, the floor is yours.
Hello, and welcome to the 1 Million Leaders, Creating the Program for Tomorrow session. I'm your host, Dom Scott, and joining me, we have Jean-Marc Lauchez, who's the President of the Korn Ferry Institute. And we'll talk about the Korn Ferry Institute in more detail in a moment. Today's session is all about a program which I think provides a really exciting and unique opportunity for members, people like yourself, to learn, to grow and acquire the skills which will help them on their career journey. I'm actually a bit envious. I wish I had something like this myself when I started out in my career. So the purpose of today is to really get underneath the skin of the program and for you to get a thorough understanding as to how it can benefit you and your aspirations. So do please use the chat function, and any questions which come up, I'll incorporate into the discussion today. Jean-Marc, how are you?
I'm doing great, Dom. Happy to be with you today.
There we are. So the first question for you is, I'm really keen just to give the audience some context as to who you are and your background and your personal and career journey. So can you elaborate on that for us, please?
Yes. So you probably noticed that I have a slight accent. I'm a French person from Martinique, which is a beautiful island in the Caribbean. And my trajectory after Martinique, I studied in France and then started working in investment banking.
Sure.
Then did an MBA in the United States at Wharton, and then at John McKinsey in management consulting. I think that at the heart, I'm a problem solver and trying to solve issues addressed by or faced by people and organizations. After McKinsey, I became the CEO of a leadership development firm in Brazil, and then joined Hay Group that was bought a few years ago by Korn Ferry. I'm a member of the leadership team of Korn Ferry, and I lead the Korn Ferry Institute, which is a unit that does research and development. We try to anticipate what's next, what are big business tendencies and what's in the world of work, and then translate that into intellectual property for our clients, therefore tools, instruments, solutions we can sell. And then we have a number of data scientists and PhDs doing advanced analytics on our behalf and for our clients. For the people who don't know Korn Ferry is a management consulting firm with a focus on people and organization. We are probably the biggest headhunter executive search firm in the world. We are probably one of the companies that develop more leaders globally. We have a big pay practice or transformation practice, and we are more and more moving to digital solutions for clients.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that with us. And I'm just keen to get an insight actually into your journey into Korn Ferry and the scale of the operation you are personally accountable for.
So I started at Hay Group in which is now Korn Ferry in Latin America. I was leading all the key accounts. So I started with a commercial role focusing on selling and delivering great work. Somehow it was noticed, and because we had huge impact. And I was based in Brazil at the time, and I was asked to move to New York to lead the financial services sector globally. Therefore, how could we serve banks, stock exchanges, insurance companies around the world? And pretty quickly, I've been asked to move to the leadership team of Hay Group at that time and to become Chief Transformation Officer. Therefore, how do we transform our organization already to be linked to this new economy that was emerging? When Korn Ferry bought Hay Group, this organization, I remained in charge of solutions globally, and then quickly evolved into a Korn Ferry Institute. Why Korn Ferry Institute? Because probably I'm passionate about innovation, passionate about what's next. I felt that many things are happening, and I wanted to have two things. One, innovate and do something which is relevant. Second, have impact beyond the impact I can have one client at a time. Yes. So I love client work. I'm a management consultant. I help organizations. But if we want to have leverage, you need to be at a place where you can serve thousands of clients at the same time with the right solutions platform. So I have now 30 PhDs and data scientists working with me around the world, and trying to add value. The market cap of Korn Ferry is $4 billion. So it's mid to large cap. I don't know exactly how you want to look at it. But we work with all the big organizations, governments in the world.
Brilliant. When I last spoke with you, what really impacted me is how passionate you were about the Leadership for You program. And I'm just keen to understand what's driven that passion. Where's that come from?
So maybe a little bit of genesis of this program we are going to talk about, called Leadership You for Humanity. Like all of us, I would assume, I was really impacted by George Floyd's unfortunate death. And more than, in addition to his death, is a sense of impunity that the killers were having, saying, it doesn't matter, I can do what I want. And I really reflected on why is this sense of impunity? And I believe that it came from the fact that there are not enough Black people and people of color in general in leadership position that can feel to those people that can believe that they have impunity for whatever they do, that they can get away with it.
Yeah.
So I couldn't sleep. I typically sleep very well, but at that time I couldn't sleep, and then came up with the idea, could we offer the best of what Korn Ferry offers to Google, Microsoft, JP Morgan Chase, Barclays, and others? Can we offer that to society? And then came the idea, could we have an accelerated leadership development program for underrepresented, underserved, diverse Black talents that may become or wants to become leaders, but are not given the opportunities by the organization they are in and by society as a whole. So the idea is, let's give a program for free, leveraging our scalable solutions. We don't want to reinvent the wheel. We know it works for Google, so it may be able to work for a Black person who is underrepresented and underserved today, and give that to the market.
Sure. And very quickly, I'm just keen to get an insight into, did you face much resistance internally at Korn Ferry? How do people like yourself manage those conversations when you have an idea, you want to create some change, but potentially your employer is not on side with your vision?
So it happened that Korn Ferry has a strong practice of DE&I, called diversity, equity, and inclusion for clients. So the notion of addressing racial issues and racial justice and racial equity is not foreign to what we do. Now, looking at the reality, the majority of the leaders of Korn Ferry are white males. Therefore, I went to the CEO together with, actually, we have a chief diversity officer that was just named after George Floyd as well. And we went to the CEO and then to the board of Korn Ferry and said, we have this idea, what do you think about it? And they agreed with it. They said, yes, we have to do something about it. It's not only about our clients and our economics, but we have to do something for society. What, of course, we are facing, we are now 1 year into the program, is there are still supporters, people that are supporting us, and there is plenty of passive people that just are waiting for that to die and to stop. This is a reality. So we are, I'm together with others fully aware of that, and we don't let it die, and we make sure that it continues to progress and grow.
Well, in fact, I mean, having spoken to you before, quite the opposite is happening. It seems to be gaining traction. The early part of it has been incredibly successful. Let's get into the detail of it now. And if you load the slide presentation you have, I'm keen to.
Okay.
The nuts and bolts.
So let me see if I can share something here. Can you see my screen?
I can.
Okay, very good. Do you see a full screen or not yet? Let me see if I can.
Not yet. I can see 2 parts.
Is it full?
That's full. Perfect.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so Yes. So very quickly, I mean, a big observation is that many of our clients, many corporations is a word, or organizations beyond corporations say, we would love to have more Black people and diverse people, but there is no pipeline, which is BS. There is plenty of potential and good leaders in Black leaders and people of color. But fundamentally, the process is not there to make them really appear and give them the opportunity that they need. So you see the reality here. I mean, people of color in the US represent almost 40% of the population, and in Fortune 500, only 9% of the leaders. So there is a huge gap.
So on the left-hand side here, this is what you're demonstrating. 40% of the population versus 9% in leadership roles.
Exactly. Huge gap. So we are not enough in leadership positions. And a big reason for that is because we are not recognized as being able to lead, even though I'm sure many of them can. So we went and we developed this idea of leadership for humanity. It came a little bit, I don't know if you know this organization called Habitat for Humanity, where people build houses for people that don't have good housing. And I say, if the issue is leadership, let's create leadership for humanity. And with a big objective. So why 1 million? Of course, compared to the population of the world, it's not that big. But still, having a new program starting from zero to get to 1 million, it is a challenge. The thought behind that is to say, if we don't think big, we are not going to change the game. Just developing 50 people, even though it's fantastic and we love to put that in the corporate responsibility report, it doesn't change anything in society.
Yeah. So it's quite refreshing to hear you say that. Kike spoke to will.i.am at the beginning of the conference yesterday, and one of his main points would be audacious. You've got to think big. You've got to demand people's attention with big aspirations, and this sounds like its purpose to do exactly that.
Exactly right. So we already have 280 participants. We have a monthly cohort of about 25 to 35 people almost every month since last year. On November 12th, we will celebrate 1 year of Leadership for Humanity. And next week, we are going to launch the 10th cohort. So extremely excited. And we already have a pipeline of about 250 people that we want to have in the programs the next few months. And we love to have people in the audience working with BYP in the US, and then once we are ready in the UK and anywhere else in the world.
So just elaborate on that point. So the 280 and the 250 in the pipeline, where are they based at the moment?
They are based everywhere in the US. Okay. Because we needed to start somewhere. There was traction in the US, we started there.
Right. So as I understand it, this program is coming to the UK. When will it be here?
I don't know when. So you were talking about the challenges in convincing people. One of the challenges is to get funding, to get resources, because this program requires resources to deliver, coaches, facilitators, and we need to get the resources for the program. And we would love to get a sponsor to help us work on that in the UK. As soon as we have that, we can start the day after.
Brilliant.
So we are
so
looking for
sessions like this give the program the exposure it deserves, and the funding should be a byproduct of that exposure if we do our jobs.
I appreciate that, Dom. I hope so. We'll get there. I mean, and it's not a sprint; it's a marathon. We decided, of course, to focus. Even in the US, it is very small so far. So there is a lot of ground to grow, but we want to go global. So it's a global objective, and of course. Kike was fantastic to say, yes, I want it for the UK, and let's work together to make it happen.
Indeed. Okay, so who benefits from this program? Who's it?
So what we call emerging leaders. Therefore, people that have already some work experience, so that they have something to ground themselves from, and then a little bit of managerial experience or leadership experience, so that they can talk about leadership and they want to say, I want to become VP. I want to become a CEO of my startup. I want to become a CEO of a big corporation around the world. And the criteria are very simple. Therefore, we are not making it difficult to get in. We are more constrained by our capacity to deliver. Just be diverse, be Black, have those criteria that you see on the screen, and be willing to dedicate the time. And we have been blessed because all the participants that we had so far, nobody is forcing them. I mean, there is no HR telling you have to do the program or your boss on top of you. You do it because you want to do it. And the level of participation, probably because the content is relevant, is above 75 to 80% for all activities that we have in the program. So it's very high impact. But people need to be willing to spend the time. Otherwise, don't register and don't take somebody else's place.
So I can imagine there's lots of people who are hearing this and thinking it's a great idea. They'd be willing to be a part of it, but they need to balance that desire with the practicalities of life. Maybe they are, looking after family. They've got full-time jobs. So what's the commitment?
It's 1 to 3 hours per week. So. And sometimes less, sometimes a bit more, but the way it operates, maybe I can go a little bit beyond. Let me show you that. It's a 6 months program. So very important point. Yeah. When I went to the CEO of Ferry and the board and other stakeholders, my point is we need a program that has impact. I don't want a program with half a day with a speaker coming and saying great things and believing that people are going to change. People are only going to change if they spend the time, and it takes a long time. They go deep in themselves. This is why coaching and professional coaching and executive coaching is part of the program since day one. There is a deep assessment, a world-class assessment on who you are, what's your personality, what you value, and you connect it to your purpose. And then content that people will take over time so that they learn about how to navigate a non-diverse organization, how to be a great leader that anticipates, how do you network effectively, how you manage your career to really have impact.
Sure. So what type of people at Korn Ferry are providing the training?
2 types of people, all of them paid. It's not a volunteering work. It's not like people do if they have time. They are the same people that deliver to Google and Barclays. So coaches, professional coaches, and professional facilitators that have a very deep knowledge of the content we deliver here.
Fantastic. Okay, you were talking through something before I asked that question.
Don't worry. No, I was just saying the answer, therefore, is the main point is you need to spend time with your coach, because your coach is going to help you know yourself and make better decisions about your life and how you can be a better leader. So it takes a little bit of time, fundamentally, but it's fantastic time.
Okay.
I want you to highlight something that I think is extremely important. I mentioned that Korn Ferry, we probably are the firm that know more about leadership than any other firm. We place more leaders in any organization than anyone else. We assess them. We know what good looks like. And this comes into the program. And here I put a profile of world-class CEOs, is of course summarized profile, in terms of competencies, personality traits, underlying drivers, personality drivers, what motivate people. And adapt here is a type of leader that are able to disrupt in this new economy. Okay. And you see, when you see those dimensions, I would say almost the 2 dimensions of focusing on performance and result, being action-oriented, being what you expect from a successful leader, but also, and it is linked to the theme of this conference, collaborate, build trust, build confidence, and work with others in order to really make things happen. Partner is very important. And when we look at the profile of inclusive leader, therefore, leader that are outstanding managing diversity and including diverse mindset and diverse people, the same things come here, same issue of collaboration and curiosity and flexibility, and the big themes of authenticity, which is core for trust building and collaboration.
Sure.
So when the coach works with one of the participants, they say, how far are they to their profile, and those profiles that are successful profiles, and what can they learn to accelerate their journey to become the best leader they can be?
Brilliant. And I remember you saying just on that point of collaboration, the cohorts themselves are diverse, and that has created a much richer, more engaging session.
Yes, so the sources where the participants are coming from, they're coming from organizations like BYP Network. Is the Executive Leadership Council, for instance, in the most prominent Black-oriented business organization in the United States. Many CEOs of big or Fortune 500 organizations, Black CEOs, are members of the ELC and others. And what we decided, and it was actually one of the ways we got traction at Ferry with this program, is we made the decision not to make it only for Black people. We decided to make it all those populations that are underserved and underrepresented, like Latinos, Asian Americans, or LGBTQ people.
Yeah.
At the beginning, we got challenged actually from the partners like Executive Leadership Council. Oh, we focus on Black people, and we observed that their participants benefited a lot for being in sessions in their cohort where they learn from gay people, from Latinos or Asians, or for military that are transitioning to the civil world, because they had no idea fundamentally that they were facing the same type of challenges, and that they could learn from what a LGBTQ person is facing, could help them as a Black person navigate in the corporate world in a more effective way.
That's good to hear. I mean, so often people are in their bubbles and they're blinkered in their thinking, but as soon as they step outside of that, there's so many lessons to learn which are similar to their own experiences. So in this program, you're bringing people into cohorts from lots of different groups, is the impression I'm getting.
Exactly. The groups are mixed. So we try to have a few groups that were intact team, like all Latinos, for instance. We had a big cohort coming from SHIP, but the impact is not the same. The learning that we get from practicing diversity as you learn is amazing. And many of them are saying that they are building networks. So part of the program is building, we have a peer-to-peer network where they have a community where they can come together, and they use that a lot. So it's not only learning how to be a leader, but also building your network to be able to operate better in this environment where networking is so important.
Sure. Before we go back to the slides, we do have a question in the chat. So
okay.
Asked, how do you protect the program from becoming political? I suppose he's saying other people within the organization may want to try and influence the program to their own gain. How do you protect it and maintain its integrity?
Look, the content is vetted content, which is extremely, we are focusing first on building leaders. And second, that happens to be diverse leaders. So we want the best possible leaders. We haven't got any issues of engagement. When we selected, actually, one point what was important, we did talk to a number of potential partners that were very, very strong activists. And at least for the time being, we didn't get with them. Therefore, it's not a platform to advance a racial or whatever diverse speech. We are here to build leaders that are going to make the difference in the world in whatever capacity.
Okay. So let's talk about the benefits of the program. I'm conscious we've got 5 minutes left, and you've gone to the trouble of putting some case studies together. Please talk to us about Marjorie.
Yes, Marjorie is one example of one participant. She works in the financial services industry. She is at mid-level, wanted to become a better leader, and you see she already completed the program, and she learned how to be a true leader. And she said that plenty of people have power, but often lack humanity. And this program gave us the opportunity to learn how leaders and herself should act. You see at the bottom, I highlighted, I know now that I should speak up more and not settle when it comes to my career ascension. And this is something that we, surprisingly, I've done the debrief of the 2 or 3 programs, the 3 cycles that finished. This is one of the main things that we hear for Black people or Asian or Latinos, they typically remain silent. They don't speak up for yourself. And because they get the support of a coach and together with their cohort and other people in the same situations, they gain self-confidence and self-awareness so that they could really speak up for themselves and move forward in their careers. Here you see Jonathan.
So just on that point, I think that's fascinating, because what you're not saying is this individual's lacking talent or lacking ability, but it's just lacking the channels and the confidence to use those channels to promote themselves in the best possible way.
We actually did a research on what we call Black P&L leaders, looking at Black leaders in Fortune 500 companies and what made them get where they were, therefore CEOs or head of business units of big organizations. All of them were, if we look objectively, better than their peers from a technical capacity, from a leadership capacity.
Yeah.
All of them were fighting the issue of not giving the opportunity. Fundamentally, the opportunity goes to people that are less competent than many of us are. And this is why such a program is helping people say, let me position myself so that I will be the best person to get that opportunity when it arises. And you see what you see here from Jonathan is highlight also mid-level talent. Leadership for Humanity has been very impactful because it has allowed me to identify things that I can do myself in real time to impact the trajectory of my career. Okay, so those are, I think, interesting examples.
Fantastic. So I think there'll be a lot of people listening now who are enticed and keen to be a part of this program. What's the best way for them to register their interest?
Talk to BYP Network. There will be our channel. So we want to help our partners like BYP to be successful. We don't substitute, we add, we strengthen. I learned actually from one of my colleagues that BYP already has about 10% of your membership in the US. So maybe we should start in the US, where we already have the people and the platform to deliver the program, and then work together to move to the UK and other places in the world.
Great. 2 more questions. First one, how much does it cost?
0.
This
is why it is for humanity. It is free. We pay for it, Ferry and the sponsors. So it's free for the participants.
So I did hear this correctly. It's zero cost. All you need
zero
to do
cost.
Fantastic. Okay, and I can already see from the chat we've got a few people saying sign me up, and when is it going to be in the UK? If I happen to come across somebody who isn't keen to be a part of this program, and I had 30 seconds to tell them why it's a good idea, what should I say?
Accelerate, get cutting edge support to accelerate your development as a leader.
For free.
For free.
Perfect.
In 6 months.
That sounds brilliant. So what I've taken away from that is when you take on board everything which is being said, Korn Ferry placed more leaders globally than everybody else.
Yes.
And you get access to world-class leadership, which will help to cultivate your skills and create a network for you and make you a better candidate for opportunities which present themselves over the next period of time. Please, if you are interested, register your interest with the BYP. There's a number of different ways to get in touch and leave your details registered with the BYP. And as and when this program is ready in the UK, we'll ensure you are at the front of the queue to be a part of it. Jean-Marc, thank you very much for your time. That's been incredibly informative, and we look forward to speaking to you again closer to the time when this program is.
Thank you very much, and thank you to you, Dom, and thank you for BYP for the opportunity. Take care. Bye-bye.